SigTalks, Episode 006, The Mental Part, by Dr. James Sigafoose.
Hello, and welcome to SigTalks, with your host, Dr. Carrie Sigafoose, your home for the chiropractic philosophy, where we discuss the teachings of Dr. James Sigafoose, from his writings to his talks and his many audio presentations.
Hello. This week we'll be covering one of Dr. Sigafoose's consultation talks. They are the group of people that he is a consultant for, and this one is dated from September 2010. So let's go ahead and take a listen to it, and I hope you enjoy it.
Think. It all is coming from within you, and you have to realize that, and you have to take responsibility for it. So you have to utilize the law, which is law, as it is, so that you can get out of this life what you want. Now, you're not going to have everything that you want, for sure, but you can get most of it just by following the law. And so it's up to you what you do with it. And it's not up to me, it's not up to anybody else, just yourself. So keep the faith, and I'll make this statement. We all know what faith is, hopefully. I'll remind you that faith is having the hope for something that we have no physical evidence of. So in other words, we have a mental picture of it, but we don't have any physical evidence of it yet. But as we then confess it, in other words, tell people that we already have it, even though we don't have any physical evidence of it, the following, it says in the Bible that your faith can never be greater than your confession. Meaning, your faith will never outdo whatever you're confessing. You can be thinking and seeing one thing and talking something else, and it's never going to come to you. So if you think it and see it in your mind's eye, then you talk it like you already have it, and there it is. It'll come. Maybe not that day, that week, that year, so what? But it'll come. It took me 7 years to get a house that I said I wanted. So, what's the difference as long as you get it? So, that be that. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about a little bit about chiropractic. Well, I'll tell you what we just talked about. If you employ that, your chiropractic will work to like a Maserati versus a Volkswagen. It'll be that much more powerful, that much more rewarding, that much work, that much faster, and you'll be much happier with it. So, according to the profession's own statistics, not mine, only about 1.4 million people went to a chiropractor last year, and that's here in the United States. And most of them went specifically for back problems. So 60% of the people in North America where chiropractic began and is most widely used have never been to a chiropractor. So if that statistic is not bad enough, here's a worse one. 95% of the world's population doesn't even live in the United States. And millions of people have never heard the word chiropractic. And of those who have been to a chiropractor, even once, less than 10% probably have the big idea and understand the benefits of lifetime chiropractic care. And we're going to be satisfied to see 9 to 10 new people a month. So if every chiropractor was seeing 9 new people a month, the world population would be growing faster than we could get them under chiropractic care. So if you have to be selective and limit your new patients to 9 to 10 a month so that you can have a PVA of 170, then frankly, I don't want that high a PVA because I'd much rather have the new people. But sure, it might be easy not having to take the difficult ones, but do we have the right to be selected? Shouldn't a non-English speaking person have an opportunity to receive a chiropractic adjustment? There's a great likelihood that he or she will not get the big idea and not become a good patient, thereby lowering the PVA. However, there is a possibility that somehow they'll get and assimilate the idea to some degree, enough to be a regular or semi-regular patient. And if that's the case, then your chiropractic care has made an impact on their life, perhaps a significant impact. And that's something that should not be discounted. Because in addition to this person, there is the one to whom you may be planting a seed. And sometime in the near future or distant future, that seed may germinate and mature into a full understanding of chiropractic. 9 to 10 new patients a month who are selected because it seems that they will be lifetime maintenance patients will not include these two groups. Because we want to be selfish and only plant seed on guaranteed fertile ground so that we can see the direct reward of our efforts. And we've missed a very important aspect of chiropractic. because you won't do an orientation on a patient who's only visiting a relative for a week. If they understand chiropractic, some chiropractor across the country gets a lifetime patient. That's not worth our time, or even if it is, it's not worth lowering our PVA because they only come in 3 times. So which is better? See 9 new people a month, have a PVA of 170, or see 90 new patients a month, have a PVA of 70? From a practice management standpoint, which is not what we're talking about, we're just talking about the way things are. 170 PVA is better, but from a selfish standpoint, 170 PVA is better. So if you have only to go through your new patient procedure, excuse me, with 1/10 of the people, however, you'd be giving 4 times as many adjustments with a lower PVA. Further, you'd be exposing 10 times as many people to chiropractic care. So some people have probably seen a statistic that in 25 years of practice, I saw 50,000 new patients in my practice. So with 170 PVA, I would have averaged over 6,000 patient visits a week during that period. Well, rest assured, I don't think that, and I didn't see anywhere near that many people. I think one year we did have 88,000 visits. But from a practice management standpoint, which again, that's not what I am and that's not what I'm talking about, my practice was a failure. But there are other factors to be considered. 50,000 people heard the word innate intelligence and learned what it is. 50,000 people learned that the living body heals itself, and that within every living human body is a principle that can create tissue and repair damaged organs and parts. 50,000 people learned about vertebral subluxation, what it is, how it occurs, what its life-depleting effects are, and that the only way to have it corrected is by going to a chiropractor. 50,000 people walked out of the office with 2 or 3 pieces of chiropractic literature. Sure, a lot of it's going to be lost or end up in the trash can, but some of it is going to be read and change lives. Perhaps not the person who walked out of the office with it, but somebody who found it in a trash can. But last but not least, 50,000 people receive a chiropractic adjustment, perhaps the only one they'll ever receive. But for a moment or 2 or 3 or 4, the innate intelligence of that person's body was expressing itself a little more fully, and that's not a small thing. Now, did I spend time with many of those 50,000 for nothing? Not in my opinion. Because any time you explain chiropractic to somebody, that's something. And any time you give an adjustment to somebody, that's also something. So some of those 50,000 people will come back, some will go to other chiropractors. All have walked away with something they didn't have before. So here's the point. We can be a slave to money, the government, managed care, practice management, material wealth, or high PVAs, or we can be a servant. And there's a big difference between a slave and a servant, because perhaps we should examine some of the characteristics of a servant. Because a servant is a giver. A slave has his time, energy, literally his life taken away from him, and he receives little, if anything, in the form of compensation. How much do you give? Well, there's a big difference between giving something and having something taken away. The slave mentally is to just do enough to get by, just enough to keep the whip off of the back. So are you willing to give your time, energy, and your life for other people? A servant serves when others are receiving. And when everybody else sits down to relax over the evening, the servant is out there working, serving the food. He or she is not thinking how he'd like to be getting his or her own dinner. A servant's heart doesn't dwell on such things. So I used to practice on Saturday. When I was home, I was out doing seminars on Saturday and Sunday, so I worked 7 days a week. And I worked until 12 o'clock. And Saturday is a day when most people either relax or do things they can't get done during the week. So for 3 hours on Saturday, I don't have that luxury. I've never slept until 10 o'clock, eaten a leisurely breakfast, sat around and read the newspaper until noon. If I'm going to serve people, I need to be available to them when they're able to come in. For a lot of people, that time is Saturday morning, sometimes on a Sunday. So for the last 20-some-odd years I was in practice, I served people on Saturday when I was home. Excuse me. Otherwise, I was out serving chiropractors, but I was always serving. And I'm not suggesting that everybody or anybody should practice on Saturday. I'm talking about a principle. Serving when everybody else is receiving. Chiropractic is not a commodity, it's a service.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Now, I'd like you to think about what Dr. Sigafoose said for just 1 second. 99.99% of where we end up is from what we think, say, and do. That is worth repeating. 99.99% of where we end up is from what we think, say, and do. We have to bring it into life by forming it into our thoughts first. Most people talk about what they don't like or want, then what they do. By accepting something before we get it, we attract to ourselves as much as anything as we embody from within. We will always draw to ourselves just what we are. So it is incredibly important to work on what we do have. We all need to start somewhere, so we must start from within first. See what Dr. Sigafoose is trying to say here? He's saying if we surround ourselves and fill our thoughts with hate, anger, and sad people that only hang out with the same, then that is what we're going to draw into ourselves. Have you ever heard of someone who people say has a golden spoon in their mouth? Or conversely, what about the person who says, "This is my lot in life. I will never be or have any more than my parents because of the fact I lived in the slums or a poor environment or whatever or wherever." It is what we fill ourselves with and surround ourselves with that is the utmost important. Growth and realization are always from within, never from without. So be careful what you think. Keep in mind the law of plenty. Tell all people that you have all you want, even when you don't have it yet. Not all things come immediately, but we must keep focus on what we truly want, and it will come. Keep in mind that we must fill our creative mind with all the thoughts of exactly what we want. Old thoughts need to be destroyed, and new ones have to replace them. And when the old ones come back, look them straight in the face and tell them they have no power over you. Daily, try to see more and to understand more, and feel that you are being looked after. All our thoughts are taken up, whether it's good or bad. So declare that you are in the midst of plenty, and those that believe the most will get the most. If you employed this into your life, your practice would explode. We end the audio at this point, but don't forget all of Dr. Sigafoose's phone consultations will be available on the relaunchsigafoose.com site. But I wanted to cover a little bit more of what is on this consultation call. Dr. Sigafoose goes more into chiropractic at this point, covering some very interesting statistics from 2009, such as it is estimated that chiropractors saw 1.4 million people in the U.S. Now think about this for a second. Dr. Sigafoose saw over 88,000 visits during his busiest year. And why? Because he saw it in his mind first. Now, remember in life, we can be a slave or a servant. Which one are you? A servant is a giver. How much do you give? We do not sell, we serve. Now, ask yourself this. Do you forgive people who do not get the big idea the first time? A servant does, because it is his mission to teach and educate. A servant of chiropractic has tremendous responsibility to others and to ourselves. We are responsible for making sure the patient leaves the office subluxation free. The patient is responsible for their own health. We need to teach people this, and the above, down, and inside out lifestyle. Now, though I did not include this part of the audio in this episode, I want to touch on it because I think it's important. We can choose to be a servant to our profession, or we can choose to be a slave to it. A servant is important. A servant is influential. A servant has to be willing. If we give ourselves and our talents to our people, and if they cannot pay for it, what do we do? As a servant, Dr. Sigafoose says, take care of them because we never turn anyone away. Why? Because we are here to serve. The joy of serving people is its own reward or payment. Dr. Sig goes on to ask if you are a symptom-based practice or a service-based maintenance care practice, and that you should have a picture in your mind of what you want and know that is what you want, and then speak it. Tell people what you are seeing in your mind, not what you are actually adjusting. He calls this speaking it into existence. Never lie about what what you're seeing or how many you're adjusting. But when asked what you are seeing, tell them what you are seeing in your mind. At the end of this consultation call, Dr. Sigafoose says that we need to do these 3 things every day. Think it, speak it, and act on it. It is the simple things in life that we need to focus on the most. At the end of the consultation, Dr. Sigafoose recommends that you listen to this over and over and over until you own it, until you know what he's going to say next. It is hard for me to decide what I like best. His packaged audio series like 10 Hours with Sigafoose and Sigafoose at Red Deer, or the veritable plethora of weekly consultation calls. I mean, honestly, I love them both, but the excitement of a different topic each week that covers personal growth as well as practice growth is incredibly amazing. Every single one of these consultation calls will be available for you to own on Sigafoose.com. And never before have they been available to anyone outside his consulting group. I would highly recommend that you listen to them here on the podcast and see if the clip resonates with you. And if it does, then go to the website and pick and choose the ones you want to have and then learn them. Front and back, and like Sigafoose says, learn them until you know what he's going to say before he says it. Well, that brings us to the end of another podcast. And with that, I'd like to say, keep the faith, and I love you because you love the things I love. See you next week.
Thank you for joining us today. If you're interested in more of Dr. Sigafoose's material, head on over for your daily dose of chiropractic philosophy to www.sigafoose.com and register for our free newsletter and to find today's audio clip of Dr. Sigafoose in its entirety. Remember to give, love, do, and serve.